Is Jesus a pacifist? Unfortunately, I keep hearing from fundamentalist Christians again and again and again that he's actually not a pacifist, when he clearly pretty much was. Now, if you want to nitpick and argue the point way too much, then you have to come to the conclusion that he may or may not be a pacifist, but he is extremely merciful. And that's about as far as you can argue it. I mean, Jesus, we're talking about a man who said, you know, if someone takes your coat, offer them your shirt. If someone strikes you on the right cheek, offer them the left. You know, these are things that he said. Does that sound like someone who is a pacifist? I think the answer is yes. And the example that you brought up to prove this point is that you're eating dinner, a guy breaks into your house, he has a gun, you're able to get the gun from him, then he takes your family hostage with a knife. I can't help but notice the supposedly Christian argument you've brought up in order to support your gun ownership while still being a Christian is one that is not based in a single biblical reference. Now, that example would probably never happen, of course. Someone breaking your house at dinner time, for one. Someone breaking in and then threatening your family with a knife when you clearly have a gun. Don't see that happening either. And also, you know, the burglar is more scared than you are, you gotta understand. But let's just pretend this could happen. Your first mistake, and it would be a mistake according to Christianity, would be a mistake according to, you know, Jesus, is that you wrestled the gun from him, that you resisted. Had you not resisted, the robber probably would have came in and been like, hey, I need your stuff, I need your money. Because, you know, obviously, if he's robbing your house, he's in a hard place. I.e., you know, if someone steals your coat, offer him your shirt. So that guy's going to be like, he wants your stuff. He needs it for money. I mean, the first thing he's probably going to do is go to the pawn shop. Maybe he's poor, you know. Maybe he just lost his house, foreclosure. You know, there's any number of things that could be going on, and that is why I believe Jesus said, you know, if someone takes your coat, offer them your shirt. So that'd be the right thing to do there, and then your family never would have gotten put in that position because you never resisted in the first place. You'd all be fine, and the end result would be someone less better off than you are, would be better off as a result of your sacrifice. And that's actually kind of a positive thing. That actually ties into a little bit about how Jesus talks about being generous to the poor. Jesus said, give to everyone who asks, which is another thing that sort of applies to the whole situation you brought up. So for one, the guy comes in, he wants something, give it to him. That's what Jesus would say. And this ties into the poor because of someone who's poor, you know, might have the guts to ask you for, you know, just a little bit of change or a little bit of money, you know, because they're poor. And by Christian logic, you need to give it to them because Jesus said, give to everyone who asks. You say that Jesus is not a pacifist when it comes to sin. Have you forgotten to read your Bible recently? I do seem to recall a story where Jesus walks in on a woman committing adultery, and he says, he who is without sin cast the first stone. In other words, you are in no position to be implementing punishment on the behalf of God or anything like that. So you are in no position to take the life of a burglar for, you know, even something as harsh as threatening your family, because that authority, according to Jesus, would as I'm sure he would probably say, is with God, and we can base this very clearly on he who's without sin cast the first stone. So he's without sin, shoot first. Are you without sin, sir? I don't think so. Something else you personally need to consider. The fact that you own a gun means you are statistically, you know, for home defense. You have to live with the fact that you're statistically much more likely to end up shooting a family member than an actual burglar. And I assume how this goes down most of the time is your son wakes up in the middle of the night and he decides he wants a snack. You're stirred by whatever noises he makes and you're like, oh shit, I gotta get my gun. So you walk down there, you see someone rummaging around in your kitchen, and it's dark out, and you're like, I gotta put a bullet in this guy, he's robbing me. You just shot your son. In part because you're more statistically likely to shoot a family member. One could make the observation that your motivations for owning the gun are more to protect your things, to protect your valuables, your merchandise. And now, of course, these things are of this world. So what you're essentially doing is you're protecting your house, your stuff, and these are things of this world. And my point is, your motivation for owning a gun is not godly, it's materialistic. A gun is a tool for killing people. There's a commandment against killing. Thou shalt not kill. You know what the kicker is? I would actually agree that you have the right to own a gun for purposes of home defense and for self-defense in any situation, or any kind of weapon for self-defense in any kind of situation, as long as you're not instigating. But the fact of the matter is that someone who thinks that, and myself included, has to come to terms with the fact, as a Christian, that this view does not coincide with Jesus' teachings. As a flawed human being with a sinful nature, I realize that it's that very nature that enables me to think that, and enables me to not really be able to change my mind on that issue. Because I do believe that bad people should be, punished for that type of thing. I have a video called Vigilante Justice. I'm very pro-vigilante justice, as long as, the justice is truly just, measured, and for the right reasons and stuff. But that's not something Jesus would go around teaching, and you shouldn't pretend like that's something Jesus would endorse. You can go around talking about that stuff, but you cannot say that Jesus would condone ending the life of another person under any circumstance, and you are deluding yourself if you continue to think that.